Hey guys, Boba Fatty here with another Sith Raid video, this time talking about Chex Mix in Phase 3, the Heroic Sith. I'm going to try to jump right in and talk about the things to look at the beginning of this. I've tried this several times now, explaining a bunch of stuff about speeds at the beginning, and it's all been wasted time because I can't get a good run to actually happen, so I'm going to get into the stuff during gameplay. If I can get something reasonable to show, then at the end I'll show the speeds of my characters and talk about the mods a little bit. So, couple things. Basically, some of the most important stuff that's going to create RNG are the buffs that are on the sabers. In my opinion, the ones with foresight are the worst. They not only apply ability block if a character doesn't have tenacity up, but the worst part is that they will dispel all buffs on a character. So generally, if there's more than one foresight at the very beginning here, I just restart immediately. If there's one, I'll actually shoot at that one first because Han can shoot straight through that. And more than likely, if you're lucky, it's going to attack CLL, one of the other rebels, hopefully not Han, and get counterattacked to get rid of the foresight, and then you'll be able to kill it when it comes to CLS's turn. So that ability block is okay. And other things you have to watch for are things that end up happening to your characters. CLS and Chirrut, once he's already given the tenacity up, are two that it's okay if they end up getting ability blocked. If Pow does, he can't use his Sakala! And that's no good. You have to get the offense ups out there to boost everyone's offense that they're about to give to Han during the standalone. So generally, depending on who gets attacked and who counterattacks and whatnot, usually you don't have two sabers that are this damaged by the time you're to this point where you get CLS's turn, and he's about the only attack that's going to happen before the death mark and the standalone and whatnot. So if he's got offense up and they're this damaged, more than likely his basic is going to be enough to kill one. So that's what you want to do. You only want to kill one. That's something that you also don't want to happen. If your POW ends up dying, more than likely he'd be the one that could be killed before this all gets set up. But if anyone dies before you get to the standalone, you want to restart immediately, because then you're not having all 5 characters giving their offense to Han once you go into the standalone. So I'm going to try to restart this a few times, just talk about the things that I look for that basically tell me to just run away, restart. Retributions aren't that bad, actually, especially if you're able to get your Chirrut fast enough to go first before the sabers. You have to get him to 270 speed plus, which I'll talk about a little bit possibly at the end of the video here. But once you get that tenacity up, those ones, obviously, that's not that big a deal. Now that is a big deal, because the one with foresight could have chosen anybody. If he had chosen any of these other rebels, it would have been fine. They would have counterattacked. Maybe not Pow, because he hadn't given his offense up yet. So that's another instance where you just restart. Han lost his tenacity up, which would be helpful through the standalone. So we'll just keep restarting. There's RNG based on the buffs that appear above the sabers, who they attack, who counterattacks, what all's going on, and then there's a little bit once you're into the standalone to watch for also that I'm hoping to get to here to be able to show. So there's another one. That's no good. Death Trooper cannot get ability block before his first turn because he has to be ready to use Death Mark. We'll see how many things I can have go wrong to explain to you before I get the chance at a good run. So here's another instance. With 2 foresights, I personally would just restart. You can get rid of one of them. It takes a tiny bit of RNG to actually have that work, if you start with any that have foresight, but any more than 1 foresight, I just immediately restart. It's probably not going to go well, so every time Traya takes a turn, she resets what buffs are on the sabers. If they had none, they get one. I think if they already had one, they change. So that is RNG that comes into play further in, even when you are in the standalone as well. So, all right, give the offense up, kill the weakest saber. Isolation, once you've gotten the ball rolling and she gets to that first turn, most characters, it doesn't matter who gets isolated except for Raid Han. You just can't have him be the one that gets isolated. But here, this is terrible. You're about to go into the standalone. We've got the death mark ready, and I'll just show. We hit the death mark, go into standalone. All you do is hit never tell me the odds. And unfortunately, there's no way to have Han continue to have this offense up unless I misunderstand something. He gets it before his turn, then he uses standalone, that's another turn. He gets 100% turn meter and uses never tell me the odds, and that gets rid of the offense up on him. But the important part is that you've still got the offense up on all the other characters so that they have more physical damage that they're giving Han. So anyway, I'm not going to keep this run anyway because right there, as soon as one with Foresight hits him, he's going to counterattack, but he lost all of his buffs, so he's doing small damage by comparison. So that's a good reason to just restart. If you have a couple Foresights at the beginning, it's possible, there's lots of RNG involved, but it's possible you could get the run rolling. But if you have multiple Foresights on the two sabers that are left right before the standalone, that's just no good. And there's an instance where Pal gets ability blocked, so that's no good. Hopefully we'll get through all of the terrible, terrible things. At the very beginning, in an instance like this, where you've got 3 that aren't Foresights, the 2 that have Retribution, without Tenacity up out there yet, you definitely want to pick the one that doesn't have the Retributions so that Han doesn't get counterattacked and dazed right from the beginning. Sometimes they'll shoot Han, like the one that was damaged, and he'll end up taking it out. In that case, you just want to use CLS and use his basic on one that is most likely not going to die. I've restarted this recording so many times, I'm not sure if I mentioned that you do not want to get rid of more than one saber, basically. What the heck happened here? I guess from all those hits, CLS has gotten another turn. So that means he might lose his offense up. No, he didn't. Alright. We'll give it a try. We got this far at least. There's no Foresights out there, so we'll hit the standalone. Hit never tell me the odds. 2 counterattacks. Those weren't very big. Those are bigger. So once you get to Han's next turn during the standalone, now this is bad, there's a Foresight here, this is definitely not going to turn into the kind of run you'd want to keep, but I'll at least talk about this real quick. Once you get to Han's first turn in the standalone, you want to only hit his basic. If you hit this special, that gives him it'll do a big shot, but it'll give him 100% turn meter and end the standalone, so. Counterattacks. Oh, she got a turn, so that Foresight went away. That's pretty good. So that's one of the things that can change and make or break the run right there. Depending on, sometimes you get to the point where this, Treya has lost the death mark. She's gotten enough turns that you're still in the standalone. She's lost the death mark. And then I'll see the sabers get their attacks, and Han counterattacks and starts killing them, and that's when I realize, oh, she lost that death mark. So, but there was an instance where she got another attack and did 3 shots at him while still in the standalone. So let me take a quick look and remind myself of what this total was. We were at 52.95. So what is that? 6, maybe like 6.5% or so. So that's not too bad actually. Maybe I will, once you finish this, let me try to think here actually. It's not so often that I'm in this situation where I can get 2 more big shots at her in the standalone. Yeah, let's see what happens. Bing, bing. 45.54. So that's gotten us more to like over 7%. So I'll try to play this out and just finish this since I actually got something to happen here. Try to get into a topple. Once you're out of the standalone, you will realize that this team has no survivability synergy at all, really. So let's try to get into a topple as quick as we can. Probably a mistake, but I'm going to hit the offense up again. Get some counters. Oh, you can't counter when you're in Ice L8. Well, still, this was pretty big in general, so I'll see what I can add to this. Might as well use call to action. Oh, that got rid of his offense up. That was probably a mistake. Here's where she's just going to start murdering everyone. Murders! So if Han had not gotten isolated, he would have gotten more counterattacks. They wouldn't have been huge, as though, you know, you were in a standalone or whatever, but would have been some amount more. So just for the heck of it, let's... at this point, probably just try to do any little piddly damage to Treya that you can. See, we're at 45.15. Means we've not even gotten to another percent. We're like nearing 8% roughly. So just bing bong. They're probably not going to survive beyond this turn of hers, I'm imagining. No, sir. 45.09. So, yeah, it was like nearing 8%, 7.8 or something. See what the damage looks like. Got a little bit over 3 million, which is good. I'm just going to try to do a screenshot real quick. And move on. So let's see here. I'll show you real quick. This is how I have the speed set up for mine, at least. The whole thing centers roughly around Death Trooper being 179 speed. Treya goes at 180, so you want him to go right after she takes her first turn, so that when he applies that death mark on that first turn of his, she has 2 full sets of turn meters to fill before that death mark goes away, and that's when it all stops basically, and Han's not counterattacking everything at her anymore. So beyond that, if you're able to get your Chirrut to 270 plus speed, which sounds outrageous, but I know mine, for instance, he's at 274. I got a speed set, and then just whatever other 2 mods I could find to get as much speed as possible. I think I have 2 mods that are like 19 and 20. The rest are just 13s, 14s. I think there's maybe even a 9 or something. So it's not that outrageous if you're able to just strip your fastest stuff off of people or whatever to do this real quick. But beyond that, it doesn't really matter. You need Han to be slower than Death Trooper. It's probably good to have him be like at 178, so it all gets started as soon at the beginning of her turn meter after her first turn as possible. At some point, I sacrificed at least a little bit of speed for a mod or 2, maybe that had big offense primaries, secondaries, and whatnots. So beyond that, CLS and POW, it doesn't really matter between the 2 of them. They need to both go before Death Trooper and Han at least. And even with it set how I have it right now, with CLS being at 178 speed, same thing. I must have found some big offense secondaries and whatnot and sacrifice some speed on him too. But because he gains turn meter whenever rebel allies are damaged, I find in most of my restarts that he ends up going before POW actually. So between the two of them, they just need to both go before Death Trooper and Han get that whole ball rolling. So talking about, excuse me, their actual mod sets and whatnot, Han is the damage dealer, so you want him to have a crit damage set and crit chance more than likely, just to make sure all of his hits are crits. And beyond that, you want Chirrut more than likely to have speed and just, put any kind of offense primaries, secondaries that you can, mixed with the fastest mods you can possibly come up with. Not have them be that fast just basically introduces a lot more RNG in the initial setup because their sabers are attacking and applying debuffs and doing stuff to people that they wouldn't be able to do if Chirrut had already gone and put out his tenacity up. So after that, the other three, CLS, Death Trooper, and POW, you just want to have a full offense set. If you can manage like offense primaries on all of the right side mods, doesn't matter about speed. If you can work out a little bit of secondary speeds here and there just to try to tweak them to be roughly where you want them to be, that's about it. You just generally want to put any kind of offense secondaries on all the characters that you can. Lots and lots of speed on Chirrut, and then just lots of offense everywhere else, whatever you can do. So I don't know if I got to all of the little things that you have to kind of watch out for, but there's at least some of the stuff, the foresights being on sabers, Han dodging, whenever you're in the standalone, if two sabers attack and he dodges one of them, or sometimes he'll dodge the first two for some reason, he's not counterattacking. It's worth just restarting. So anyway, that's kind of the stuff to look out for. The more you know about it, the more you can just see it after you've been playing for 5 seconds. And you just think, oh, nope, need to restart. It's just a little less annoying when you can just notice things sooner and not have to play as long before you have to restart. Doesn't seem like such an outrageous thing, so that's kind of the way to look at it. And best of luck to you guys, and I'll see you in the Galaxy of Heroes.